Jessica got the children into bed and headed to the kitchen for a cup of tea. She had a lot of housework to do lately, and her husband was staying late at work more and more often. Jessica sympathized with her husband and tried to relieve him of household chores, as he was the only breadwinner in the family. Immediately after the wedding, it was decided that Jessica will be engaged in the house and raising children, and Harry will provide for their well-being. Gradually they had 3 children, and at each new birth Harry was immensely happy and stated that he was not going to stop there. Jessica, on the other hand, however, was tired of the endless diapers, feeding and lack of sleep. She decided it was time to give herself and the kids some attention while Harry was coming home already late at night after a fun party. When she asked him why, he replied that they were so exhausted from taking care of the kids that they decided to relax and go out. "Oh, you poor thing," Jessica smiled. "Come on, I'll make you something to eat." He said he had lost his appetite and would rather go straight to bed. The March 8th holiday was approaching and Jessica asked her mom to take care of the kids so they could go to the mall and celebrate the holiday in a special way, a romantic dinner for the 2 of them. The mom agreed to take the kids to her house. Besides groceries and gifts, Jessica decided to buy something for herself. She had long felt uncomfortable not buying anything for herself and didn't want to ask her husband for money. However, she didn't have any clothes or a suitable outfit for a special occasion. Her last purchase for herself was a homemade suit that was not at all suitable for the evening she had planned. Jessica headed to one of the clothing stores and began trying on several dresses. As she was just starting to try on the second dress, she heard her husband's familiar voice and voices coming from a neighboring fitting room. "I already want to take it off you," her husband replied. "I'm so horny. Better pick out something for your wife." Why should she? She's all immersed in taking care of the kids, and the kids don't care what she wears. The important thing is that they're fed, changed, and their toys put away. I'll give her a multivarka or a bread maker. Keep her happy. Jessica felt a cold wave sweep over her. She tried not to make too much noise, so as not to attract attention, and continued to try on the dress, listening to the conversation from a neighboring fitting room. And if she asked why he spent such large sums on a multi-cooker and bread maker, she wouldn't get a satisfactory answer. Physics, girl. Jessica worried and began to make excuses. Why do I have to report what I spend my money on? I'm working. She stays at home and takes care of everything, and I allocate a certain amount to the household, and that's enough. Let her say thank you. The voices from the adjoining fitting room grew farther away. Jessica cautiously peeked out of her fitting room and saw her husband standing nearby. Her husband was standing at the register with some blonde woman and paying for his purchases. When he finished, he turned to her and, unashamedly, kissed the cashier on the lips. "Everything okay with you?" Jessica realized that she had been in the fitting room for quite some time, sitting on a small poof and staring at one point. Yeah, everything's fine," she replied, pulling back the curtain and handing the dress to the salesman. "I'll take it all home." After letting her mom go and putting the kids down for their afternoon nap, Jessica wondered what to do now after such a betrayal on her husband's part. She hadn't expected this turn of events. Not only that he was cheating on her, but how he felt about her and what she was doing. In that moment, he questioned everything she did for the family, and wanted to run right away and file for divorce. But she told herself to stop and think. But is that the solution? He'll go off to his blonde girlfriend and I'll be left with the kids without a livelihood. Child support, they'll probably be pennies. And how will we live? The decision had been made. Harry wasn't staying late at work that day as usual. But in love, how are we going to live now? Jessica thought. The multi-cooker and bread maker won't be able to feed us. She was worried, but one thing was certain: he would want intimacy and she couldn't give it to him. She was disgusted at the thought of her husband getting everything from his mistress while Jessica wouldn't molest him. The next day she made a resume and sent it out to every possible company and agency. All that was left was to wait. Finally, the long-awaited answer came and she was invited for an interview at one of the companies where her husband was actively working. Jessica pondered for a long time whether she should go, but she decided it was worth a try after all. After asking her mom to babysit, Jessica went to the interview. After more than 2 hours of talking to the company's management, she was offered a good position with a flexible schedule and a good salary. Of course, the starting salary was not very high, but it was enough to support herself and the children. Jessica returned home full of happiness. Her mother, seeing her daughter in such a state, started asking her questions. "Is Harry cheating on me?" exclaimed the woman joyfully. However, deciding that her daughter was just temporarily insane, her mother took her by the hand and sat her down on the couch. Jessica began to recount everything she had heard in the fitting room of the store. Her mother listened to her and asked what she was going to do. "I'm going to file for divorce," Jessica said, "and I've already found a job with a free schedule. I'm going to apply for daycare now, and once all my kids start going there, I'll be working full-time." "I won't discourage you," the mother replied. "Betrayal should not be forgiven. I think this is just the beginning. He doesn't feel responsible for his actions, and you can handle the children on your own. But I will help you." "Thank you, Mom." On March 7th, Harry came in again deep into the night. Jessica did not bother to ask him anything, surprised by his wife's indifference. He tried to excuse himself. "I spent the whole evening with the boys," but Jessica didn't let him finish, ordering him to go to bed. The next day, when the woman fed the children breakfast in the kitchen, I solemnly presented her with a gift, a bread maker. "Here, dear, to make your housework easier," I said, and tried to kiss her. However, Jessica pulled away and didn't even pay attention to the gift. She got up from her chair and said, "I have a present for you too." Surprised, I followed her into the hallway. She pointed to 2 large suitcases and said, "I'm divorcing you. Now you don't have to make up lies hiding your adventures away." "How did I know?" I whispered, dumbfounded. "In the fitting room of the store when you were picking out your blondes." "Keep the gift, including the bread maker." "I don't need it," Jessica said. I, angry at having lost my family because of my infidelity, got angry. "Do you feel sorry for me to have another woman? Beautiful, passionate, and well-groomed. Unlike you, you've even forgotten how to put on makeup, imprisoned yourself on children, and living off me. I don't feel bad about spending it on someone else. I think it's necessary, and you shouldn't be counting my money. You're just sick of me spending it on someone else. You're just a mercantile sheep." "I'm not sorry," I said, annoyed. "Take it easy," Jessica replied. "Go away." The next day Jessica filed for divorce and requested alimony. A week later, someone knocked on the door. Standing on the doorstep was her mother-in-law. "Not great, SXA," she shouted. "You mercantile wretch. You kicked your husband out and now all you want from him is money. You should give up alimony. He doesn't have to pay them. He pays them to his children, whom he himself asked for." Jessica replied, "If he can't support his mistress, that's his problem. He's a parent just like me. And yes, what can you do? You had kids hoping you'd be on his neck for the rest of your life. But you won't. He'll ask his bosses to cut his official salary, and you'll get a pittance. You'll be back on all fours in no time. But that won't happen," Jessica said, pointing to the door. "Get out of my house." While no one called the police on her, she continued to swear angrily. A few months later, the children were given a spot in daycare, and another month after the youngest child started kindergarten, Jessica began working full-time. Greeting her, a familiar voice sounded. "Can we talk?" I apologized. "I have a lot of work to do," Jessica replied without raising her head. "Maybe we could have lunch together?" Harry suggested, not moving away. Jessica lifted her head and looked at her ex-husband. He looked tired and haggard. She knew that his blonde girlfriend, the one he left him for, upon learning that half of his paycheck would go to child support, had dumped him immediately. But that didn't bother Jessica anymore. "No, Harry, we won't talk and we won't have lunch," she said.